Houston, we're all about culture, music, and live performances. And there's a great one coming up. The Apollo Chamber Players are bringing With Malice Toward None to Miller Outdoor Theater, a multimedia concert inspired by Abraham Lincoln's famous words and what they mean today. It features music from composers like Black Vietnam veteran J. Kimo Williams, with special guests like Houston Poet Laureate Emeritus Deborah Deaton Luton. Catch it live on August 22nd. Free tickets are available starting August 21st at milleroutdoortheater.com.
The British International School of Houston is an international and diverse private school with top academic results in a state-of-the-art 32-acre campus. From PK3 through 12th grade, students build pathways to the world's best universities through excellent results in internationally recognized qualifications. Guiding them are teachers who are global talents. Interested in learning more about the British International School of Houston? Search BIS Houston online and get in touch with their admissions team. And you can also join them for their upcoming open house by registering online. Today on CityCast Houston, Texas Democrats are back in Austin for Governor Abbott's second special session, and all eyes are on the battle to redistrict Texas, including Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, the Terminator. Plus, what do Houstonians really want when it comes to entertainment? Let's talk about those stories and others with Cron.com's trending news reporter, Faith Bugenhagen. It's Tuesday, August 19th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Hey, Faith. I want to ask a huge favor to everybody that's listening. I need your help. We are conducting our annual CityCast listener survey, and I need 20 of y'all to do it right now and take this survey. It takes about 7 minutes, and you can do it at citycast.fm/survey. Once you complete it, you'll be entered to win a $250 Visa gift card plus CityCast Houston swag. We really, really need you to take this. Even if you took it last year, that was a year ago, so we can't use that data anymore. And what we do with this survey is we figure out how to better serve you through CityCast Houston and also with Hey Houston, our daily newsletter. So please, please take this right now. I am asking you a huge favor. 20 of y'all do it right now at citycast.fm/survey. All right, let's talk about this. The second special session is underway, and the Democrats have shown up to Austin right now. But tell me, what else is happening? Give me the latest.
Yeah, so to your point, the Democrats have shown up to Austin, which was what we were all kind of keeping our eyes on after the quorum break over protesting redistricting, which, to explain to the listeners, if they're not aware, there has been a GOP and specifically Trump-backed push and effort to gain 5 or so GOP seats in the U.S. House. And so they're trying to pass these redistricting maps in the Texas legislature in order to do that. And the Democrats are protesting that effort. And so they were in areas like Chicago and Boston, but have since returned. And so now we're seeing a second special session, to your point, because those redistricting maps were not able to be passed by both legislative bodies given the quorum break. But what we're also seeing is a nearly identical special session from the first one. So the 18 agenda items that were on the list are going to be reworked in order to get some of those priorities through to the finish line.
Of course, redistricting is high up there. The THC ban, which by all accounts, it looks like it was moving towards passing and there would be a THC ban, and Governor Abbott kind of backtracked on his initial vetoing of the bill. But again, that didn't pass in the special session because the quorum wasn't there. Also, flood relief and figuring out how to better prepare Texas for flooding, not only in central Texas, but across the state. That is up there as well. But I think it all starts with redistricting. And here's an interesting twist to all of this. Of course, all eyes are on Texas nationwide. What happens here will literally determine what happens in other states. But we are hearing from an interesting voice. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mentioned this in the intro. What is the Terminator doing talking about redistricting?
Yeah, so he actually sat down with Lisa Falkenberg, the Houston Chronicles columnist, and he discussed his long-standing fight against redistricting. And it actually is the case that while he was governor of California, which notably he was a Republican governor, so I think that's important to include in this conversation just because we're seeing the Texas Republicans push for these redistricting maps. But while he was governor and the years he was in leadership in California, he actually fought heavily and spoke against redistricting for Republicans and for Democrats, despite him being a Republican. And so now we're seeing him fight against redistricting when it comes to Texas and be in vocal opposition of any redistricting. But what's interesting is if you read her story and her conversation with him, he's also against retaliatory redistricting, which I think is really important to this conversation because Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California, is proposing retaliatory redistricting where they would try to get more Democratic seats and redistrict that way. But he's actually against any type of redistricting. So he doesn't want there to be a heavy blue push or a heavy red push. He just wants redistricting in that way where it is what some people argue as unconstitutional or disenfranchising voters. He wants that completely done with.
Yeah, that sounds like, hey, it's all about the people. Can we keep this fair? And can we just knock this out? Like, let's stop playing politics with this. But that's unfortunately what redistricting is. It is politics. And I'm with the Terminator here. Like, let's knock this out. Please, enough of this. Let's keep it fair. Let's keep the people in mind instead of just playing politics all the time. That was interesting to see. And during his time, I believe he passed a law that kept it pretty fair when it came to redistricting. Am I correct?
Yes. And it's important to note that California has an independent commission that keeps it, to your point, fair when they do reevaluate congressional maps. And the voters of California in a recent survey are very much supportive of this independent commission. They think it's been doing a good job and all of that. So it will be interesting to see how this continues to play out because of what Newsom is proposing in terms of that retaliation.
All right. So now things are really heating up. Special session number 2 is underway. The Terminator is weighing in. But anything else to watch out for as this special session 2.0 is underway?
Yeah, I think you've hit on the core issues of, we're seeing, I almost say like a big three of redistricting, THC, and flood relief. I think the way that flood relief is tackled, notably, they said that the priority number of the bill, which would be number 1, is actually going to flood relief this time around, reports are indicating. So that could show a renewed sense of prioritizing that even over redistricting, which was a common argument of Democrats last special session. But we'll just have to see if that's actually the case given the concentration on redistricting. But it's important to also note that there is a whole number of conservative priorities like cracking down on mailed abortion pills, as well as some transgender issues on the agenda call. So there's a whole slew of conservative priorities that will be ones to watch because there are efforts from GOP members to get them through to the finish line.
I wish one thing they would add in is how we deal with trains in our city and surrounding areas. On Sunday, I was driving out of our neighborhood, and sure enough, there was a stalled train that created backups for almost 45 minutes. We see it happen in the city. In fact, one of the last times the CityCast Houston team hung out, we were meeting up at Maven Coffee, and all of us got stuck behind a stalled train, and we couldn't meet up for almost 15 to 20 minutes. This happens all the time. It happens in the East End a lot, and finally, the mayor and the city of Houston, they're doing something. They launched this new tool called Train Watch, which will basically let residents and first responders know if there's a train that's stalled out. But I'm going to get on my soapbox and talk about trains and how the train industry basically runs unchecked. I've been trying to get something done with train horns in my neighborhood, and every time I email KP George, the county judge who's in charge of this, I get no response. So I want to publicly put that out there. I've got emails to show y'all if you don't believe me. We've also seen how train stalling in the city of Houston will just create chaos, right? Especially during school times in the morning and afternoons. We think about the death of Sergio Rodriguez. That happened in December, the tragic death of the Milby High School student. And there was like this renewed purpose of we're going to get something done. We're going to get pedestrian bridges and we're going to make sure this never happens again. And then Union Pacific said, okay, we will not run trains, in the morning or afternoon times because of school. Buses get stuck behind it. First responders get stuck behind these trains. And guess what happened, Faith? Union Pacific is back to their normal schedule. They are running trains during HISD morning drop-off and afternoon pickups. This is so frustrating. How the train industry gets away with this, going unchecked and having no regulations, it seems like, it's so unfair.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's not funny at all that you mentioned that you were stuck behind a stall train because I know that that's an issue for so many people. And like you're saying, it has such a variety of impact
Mm-hmm.
because maybe it's us rushing to an event, but to your point, it's also students having to go past them or go through an opening that we've seen lead to death. So it just affects Houstonians in different areas so drastically different that I think that is really important to the conversation. And I was also recently behind a stall train. It's actually interesting. When I go out on assignment, I purposely go a certain amount of time ahead of time because of stalled trains, because the number of times I've been stuck
Yeah.
behind them during assignments or when I'm trying to head to court or whatever has been so often. But I think the way in which it does go unchecked and it does so significantly impact some areas is just uncalled for. And I'm glad that this tool is available now, but there's just so much more that is needed to be done, especially in certain
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
I'm happy this Train Watch tool is available, and that's what it's called, Train Watch. And it's not at all crossings yet, but I believe the city is going to roll it out to as many crossings as they can, which is great. And I get like we're playing the hand that we're dealt as a city, but can we also put some more pressure on the trains and asking the companies that run these trains, can we be better about this? Can we stop with the stalled trains or limit it as much as possible? Because I know it happens. You have to switch tracks and there are other factors. So I totally understand it. But can we be a little bit more mindful and think about the community and what the community is going through at certain hours of the day? And can we speed it up if possible? Because there should be no reason for a train to be stuck on a track for 45 minutes. It's frustrating. And every time I talk about trains, I think about Sergio Rodriguez and how he tragically passed. And then Mike Miles highlighted these numbers. There's 118 HISD schools that are nearby railroads. And there's also 9 of those schools with actual railroad crossings that students have to deal with, including 4 elementary schools. So it's a safety concern. And it's something that we need to figure out as a community across the greater Houston area. Okay, when we come back, speaking of Houstonians, let's talk about what we want for entertainment. Are you looking for an event that blends history, culture, and music all in one memorable live performance? If so, then you have to check out the Apollo Chamber Players' performance of With Malice Toward None at Miller Outdoor Theater on Friday, August 22nd, and tickets are free. This multimedia concert is inspired by Abraham Lincoln's famous words and what they mean today. It features music from composers like Black Vietnam veteran J. Kimu Williams, with special guests like Houston Poet Laureate Emeritus Deborah Deep Mouton. There's nothing like catching a performance at Miller Outdoor. Free tickets will be available on August 21st at milleroutdoortheater.com. So set a reminder to grab your free tickets and join fellow Houstonians on Friday, August 22nd for Apollo Chamber Players' performance of With Malice Toward None. Faith, I loved your story on highlighting what Houstonians want after the hobby school poll posted earlier this month. And I want to talk about this because entertainment is so important to the city of Houston, but Harris County residents are very open about what they want in terms of entertainment. Tell me, what is it?
Yeah, so like you said, U of H did a survey and they found that most residents want a destination theme park, professional women's basketball team, and a National Hockey League team in the Houston area, as well as they want money to go towards renovating either the Astrodome or even NRG Stadium, which I know y'all have talked about before on the pod.
Oh, yeah. And everybody knows how I feel. I say, destroy the Astrodome. Let's tear it down and let's build something new, because that's what Houstonians want. We want something new, right? Let's talk about the theme park first, because I am so for this. I went to Fiesta, Texas earlier this year for spring break, and I had a blast. And all I was thinking about was, wouldn't it be great if we had Astroworld again? Wouldn't it be awesome just to drive, 20 minutes as opposed to 3 hours to enjoy a theme park? And theme parks are a blast, okay? They are so much fun to go to. They provide a lot of jobs. I know there's some fallbacks to everything, including theme parks, so I get it. But 68% of the people who took this poll said, let's build a theme park. And one other thing, I don't know if this counts or not, but it looks like Tillman Fertitta is building a new water park at Kima Boardwalk. So maybe that's it right there. But I want something even closer than that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Astro World was before my time, but I always see promotions of it, like Resurrected on X and all that. And it looks so fun and just a great kind of unifying event and place for Houstonians, which I think that part is really cool because of Houston culture being so connected and together. To see that in a theme park would be so fun. So, maybe we put out a public call to Tillman Fertitta to consider the possibility of developing up here in the city.
Well, if it's not that, then it's going to be a hockey team. His name has been rumored to get a hockey team for the longest time, right? Being at Toyota Center with the Houston Rockets, that's where the old Arrows used to play, which was a hockey team. It wasn't an NHL team, but we had an ice hockey team here for a while with the Arrows. And every time there is an NHL, National Hockey League team available for sale, Tillman Fertitta's name is always linked to it. And he's publicly commented on this. I believe he's interested and he wants to bring an NHL team here. I'm just going to say this. When I was covering the Arrows in their final few years, and it's different. They weren't an NHL team. It was bad. Like, nobody would go to the games outside of the diehard fans. It's one of those sports that never really took off in the city of Houston. We've seen it take off in other hot cities, quote unquote. But I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one. I don't think an NHL team will work in the city of Houston.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I went to undergrad in Boston, and it made sense that the Bruins, were such a well-established team. I went to a couple games, but I think in terms of having a Houston team, I just don't know if it would register the same way. Of course, we are getting more transplants, so that's one argument that I could see. Maybe some people from the Northeast or other colder areas do want to have a hockey team to support, and that may have enough draw. But I was interested to see how many people kind of back the concept of it, just because I agree with you that I don't think it's a sport that would take off that way. But apparently rugby is really big in Houston too.
It is.
And I had no idea. So
the Houston SaberCats. Yeah, I used to work for them. I did their stadium hosting and I was their TV sideline reporter for a while. And it's a smaller team, okay? And their stadium is out there on 288 and Airport. So it's kind of out in Pearland, so it's far, but yeah, their diehard fans love it. You've got the Dynamo, of course, playing in MLS. You've got the Houston Rockets, the Houston Astros, the Texans, and then you've got smaller teams, the Roughnecks, who play in the United Football League in the spring, the UFL. I worked for them as well, doing their stadium hosting, and their games are at U of H, where the Cougars play. I don't think another team would work here, whether it be NHL or WNBA. I mean, let's use the Astros, for example, okay? They have gone to multiple World Series, and they've won multiple World Series as well. They are in their golden era. They are dominating, and even they don't sell out at Daikin Park during the summer or most games. Think about that. These tickets are expensive now. It's not easy to get to these games. And for a family of four, you're talking about a lot of money. So to have another two teams, including a WNBA team, which, again, it would be Tillman Fertitta because he owns the Houston Rockets, and usually the WNBA and NBA kind of go hand in hand because they are the same ownership, pretty much. It would be Tillman Fertitta. Like, I don't know. I don't think either team would work.
I have to push back here. I want a WNBA team.
Okay.
I do. And
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think that it would make a little bit more sense, hear me out, than a hockey team, because we're seeing so much conversation around Dallas's team, mainly because they have Paige Beckers now and all that. And we're just seeing a renewed, interest and growth of WNBA, which I love and I support. Also, basketball's so big in Houston. So
Yeah,
I think
it
if
is.
you're going to choose one or the other, WNBA would be much more complementary to Houston culture and Houston sports. So I'm gunning for that one over hockey. So sorry to all my hockey fans out there.
Hey, bring back the Houston Comets. That'd be sweet. Their banners are still hanging up in Toyota Center. It's one of my favorite things to look at when I go in there. You see the Rockets championship banners, and then you see all of the Comets banners and the retired jerseys from the Houston Comets days. They were one of the most dominant WNBA franchises, and even they folded. We've gone through this before as a city, but you're right. It is a different era now. There is a renewed sense of support and excitement for women's sports. I would be cool with the WNBA. I think, unfortunately, after a couple of years, the excitement dies down and you're in the same boat as the Houston Astros. It's tough to sell out games. Same thing with the Rockets. It's tough to sell out games almost every night during the season. So maybe I'm wrong. I would love to hear from you, the listener. Call us at 713-489-6972. Nobody's going to pick up that number, but it's going to go to voicemail. And there, you leave me a voicemail and we'll play it on a future episode. I would love to hear your thoughts about what we want as entertainment in the future for the city of Houston. When we get back, speaking of sports, can we stop doing this as fans? This is so embarrassing. I'll tell you what it is. All right, Faith, let's end with Only in H-Town, stories that are so uniquely us. These can be fun, they can be wacky, but over the weekend, this one was kind of wacky and entertaining. It's something that we need to cut out as fans. What happened with the Astros fan who ran onto the field? Tell me about this, please.
Yeah, so Sunday game, we had a fan run from right field, make it all the way to the mound in the 8th inning, which I think that's the most interesting part. It's like he knew what he was doing because he waited to the very end of the game.
And it was a blowout game. The Astros were getting their butts kicked. It was embarrassing.
Exactly. He was probably just so distraught that he just went for it, But they ended up catching him, escorting him out to applause, which I thought was the funniest part too. We were all like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, good job.
But that's what happened. And to your point, it's just so funny to see that. But it's also like, if you're really a fan, you're probably going to get banned and arrested. So why are we doing that? But at the same time,
why are we doing it? It is entertaining. I'm not going to lie. It is entertaining, especially when I was covering the teams on a daily basis. I would be at then Minute Maid Park almost every night during the summer, right? Being a reporter in my first job in the city of Houston, I would look forward to a fan running onto the field because it was so entertaining. It was a breakup from the monotony of being at a baseball game every single night. But it's embarrassing. We got to stop this. Also, there are some interesting things at play. And I don't think this is what happened with this fan. But I remember in 2021 during the Super Bowl, a fan bet a prop bet. So what a prop bet is, it's like you bet, will a fan run onto the field? And you can actually put some money on this, especially with online gambling. There's a lot of prop bets. But anyways, this fan put $50,000 down on this bet that a fan would run onto the field. And guess what he did? He ran onto the field during the Super Bowl and won $374,000. It was that big of a bet. Unfortunately, the casino where he placed it picked up on it because he was doing so many interviews and they avoided the bet. That means they canceled it. And they said, we're not paying you. The fix is in. Like, you can't do that. So we have seen that. We've seen other random stories pop up where guys will do it amongst themselves, like bet $1,000 that I bet you won't run onto the field, and they run onto the field and win a bet. So there are like different things at play. Again, I don't think that's what happened here, but I wanted to bring that story up because with the rise of online gambling, sports gambling, there are these prop bets out there at like, hey, will a fan run onto the field in a big event? So it's something to always like watch out for, like, okay, what's really happening here?
Yeah. And also not to be a buzzkill because I love a good hoopla, but there's also the component of now is just such a different era in terms of like public safety. So what I would be worried about is like people not having the best intentions. You know what I mean? Especially when
Yeah.
it comes to like these athletes are so significant to the city of Houston. They have such a large fan base. And unfortunately, some people don't always treat celebrities or athletes properly. And so what
Yeah,
I
you're
would be
right.
worried about just being a reporter is like seeing somebody on the field. Do you have the best intention? Are you just trying to be silly? Are you trying to win a
Yeah, there's a
bet?
safety issue. You're
Or
right.
exactly, like that's
Yeah,
what I would
definitely.
be concerned about. But I think in general, let's just avoid that because you're going to end up with the repercussions that you don't want.
Yeah, you're going to go to jail. You're going to get banned from the stadium. A bunch of security guards, by the way, ran onto the field as they should, and I think they're trained to do. But I want to give shout out to the dude who tackled the fan because he had a perfect form tackle. Like it was really good. And he actually caught up to the fan. Sometimes we'll see those fans run around for a while because they're faster than the security guard. But the guy who tackled the fan at the Astros game, perfect form tackle. So good job, my man. That was impressive. But yeah, let's cut it out. No more running onto the field and making it all about you. All right, stop it. Stop it. Although it is entertaining. Faith, thank you so much for joining us. That was a lot of fun. Can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, thank you so much as always. Excited to join you on next time.
That was Faith Bugenhagen. She writes about trending news and politics for Cron.com. I've linked all of the stories we discussed in our show notes. Now I have 2 favors to ask. First, don't forget, I need 20 of y'all to take our annual listener survey at citycast.fm/survey, and it only takes 7 minutes. My second favor takes even less time. Share this episode with 3 friends who love basketball. It really helps us grow the show. You can also help us out by rating and reviewing the show wherever you're listening, and please make sure you're subscribed. For more Houston news, food recs, and events, subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, with the link in our show notes. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. Should I do my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression for the listeners?
No, probably not.
No, probably not, right?
Probably not.